And probably one of the major events here locally that I'll never forget was the riots in the late 60s right here on Prairie Avenue.
Well, because I wanted to ask you about the event. But yes, tell me about what
Yeah,
that was like.
well, that was at the shopping center, and that's where the businesses were. You had a market, you had a furniture store, you had a hardware store, you had a record shop, you had a liquor store. There were a number of businesses there. And what happened, the riot really started over police brutality. And back then, you got beat up down the police station. No one could do anything about it. They just said, hey, he fell down the stairs. And the particular police officer at the time for the brutality, the only thing they did was they moved him from the south side, but they promoted him to sergeant. And then, so the times were brewing, the times were getting hot. Then things just exploded. And it might have been right after Dr. King got assassinated. And, but things were brewing long before that. And then that's when the riot started, and they burnt down and they looted and burnt down all the stores in there, except for the Brown's liquor store, because that's because Mr. Brown and his son sat out in front of their store with shotguns, so no one dared go into their store. But and the thing is, I'll never forget, there was an old white gentleman driving down the street that didn't have a clue what was going on. And they were throwing bottles and bricks, and Kenny Dells jumped in front of the window to protect the man. And he was like he was a program. Yeah, Kenny Dells, I'll never forget it.
He's my first
And he grabbed me with him, and we made sure that the old man got out of the accident room was down Dudley Street at the time, and we made sure that we protected him so that he could get to the hospital, because he might have got hit in the face with a bottle or something. But I'll never forget Kenny Dells doing that.
Wow.
And so those were some of the events, and the dynamic speaking of Dr. King and Malcolm X. And for me as a young teenager, balancing the two, because what they both said was prophetic and profound. And so, but in the long run, the nonviolent approach that Dr. King said was the best thing, certainly in those times.